This engineer, Abedini, is still being held in Italian prisons. He hasn't even been granted house arrest. So that, for the moment, stands still. We don't know if the exchange was, let's say, on the table of negotiations. We will we'll find that out in the future, really. For the moment, there really is no information in the public light that gives us an indication of what that will be. But based on, let's say, previous history, I mean, Iran has been under sanctions since 1979, basically, and they have never been known to, let's say, free anyone who's been held, including U.S. Iranian citizens, for nothing in exchange. So whether we really don't know any more about what possible deal has gone down, but something definitely has happened.
Italian journalist has returned to Rome after spending 3 weeks detained in Iran, where she was held in the country's notorious Evin prison. Cecilia Sala had been arrested last month over allegations that she'd violated the law of the Islamic Republic. I've been speaking to Italian journalist and author Gaja Pellegrini-Bettoli about the reaction in Italy to Sala's release.
I think all of Italy, and particularly us colleagues, were absolutely delighted to hear the news that she's landed in Italy again since 4 p.m. this afternoon, local time. This is certainly, however, a question of the larger game of nations. The journalist was detained. She went to Iran on the 12th of December, and she was detained on the 19th, the day before she was supposed to return to Italy. And she had a regular journalist visa. So the reasons for her detention have been, up for grabs in terms of what is the real motivation. Now, there's been a lot of speculation in the media. There's also been very, very different press releases, even on the Iranian side, because initially the Iranian embassy in Rome had issued a statement saying that indeed the reason why Cecilia Sala was detained was because of the Italian detention in Milan on the 16th of December, so right in the middle of the stay of a journalist in Tehran, of the engineer Mohammed Abedini, who has a warrant on his head by the United States, and the United States is asking for his extradition because of basically violating sanctions and supplying drone components to Tehran. And with these drones were actually used in the January 24 attack on U.S. outposts in Jordan, killing 3 Americans. So basically, we have an Iranian citizens detained in Italy against a journalist in Iran. So this is most likely part of a larger game of nations. And I must say, on the Italian side, it was, excuse my language for being so cynical, it was played very well by our Premier Meloni, because, of course, we are at a key time, both in terms of Iran's position in the world, but also because of the upcoming inauguration of the new president-elect, President Trump. So let's say that Premier Meloni had a small window of opportunity to get the journalist back on Italian soil before Trump's term comes up.
And what do we know about what kind of promises or pledges or offers the Italian government, Giorgia Meloni, might have made in order to get this journalist home?
Of course, that's an excellent question. We're all asking ourselves the same question. I think what is absolutely sure, well, first of all, this engineer, Abedini, is still being held in Italian prisons. He hasn't even been granted house arrest. So that, for the moment, stands still. We don't know if the exchange was, let's say, on the table of negotiations. We will find that out in the future, really. For the moment, there really is no information in the public light that gives us an indication of what that will be. But based on, let's say, previous history, I mean, Iran has been under sanctions since 1979, basically, and they have never been known to, let's say, free anyone who's been held, including U.S. Iranian citizens, for nothing in exchange. So whether we really don't know any more about what possible deal has gone down, but something definitely has happened.
How does Cecilia Sala seem to be after her release? And just tell us briefly, if you could, a bit more about the reaction, because it's been such a big case in Italy, hasn't it?
It has, absolutely. And the reason, in fact, excuse me, I'll say this poor girl just because of the predicament that she found herself in. As I was saying before, this is part of a larger game of nations. So she was sent to Tehran at an extremely delicate time, because, I mean, she works for two prominent papers. One of them is a podcast and another is a paper, who are certainly right-leaning, and can be seen as, let's say, Zionist leaning in some fashion. But mostly she was held because it was convenient. It was not because of her writing or of any particular reportage that she did while she was there. I think the fact that she's a very well-known figure, even though she's so young, this in a way probably made her more likely to be held in a cruel game of who is more relevant. For example, her father is good friends with our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Tajani. So I think that all the uproar, the correct uproar that this detention caused, was also because of who she is, and I think the Iranians knew this very well.
And very briefly, the reaction to her release?
Oh, everyone absolutely is extremely happy. I'm talking about all political sides. I think it's going to be certainly, let's say, a win-win also for Meloni. I mean, on the one side, she's obviously very much a right conservative leader, but she's also the only one who is an Atlanticist. So she's setting herself apart as someone who's a doer. And also, she has extremely good rapport with Donald Trump, with Elon Musk, and she also kept a very good rapport with Biden. By the way, President Biden is supposed to arrive to Italy tomorrow.
Well, that was Gaja Pellegrini-Bettoli, award-winning Italian journalist and author specialising in the Middle East, speaking to me just a little earlier this evening on the good news of the release of that Italian journalist.
Macchina rossa ragazzi, macchina rossa. Macchina rossa. Per favore, attenti, attenti. Cecilia, come stai?
Cecilia, come stai? Ringrazio tutti quelli del governo e tutti quelli che mi hanno tirato fuori.
Si vede qualcosa? È che... Non bambino.